A ver, a mí gustar no me gusta ni AP ni tanque. Me gusta Bruiser, es decir, AD, asesino. Pero entre esos dos, más o menos depende de la composición. Con un tanque tú sueles ser más el que inicia y tu función prácticamente es que te peguen mientras tu equipo pega a otro. Aguantar más que otro top y prácticamente eres más útil. Si juegas AP, sin en cambio, depende del tipo de AP, pero si sueles jugar a lo mejor a Burst, a iniciar todos a la vez. Y a lo mejor sí es verdad que es más difícil jugar con un AP top que con un tanque. Pero también puede ser que con un AP sea más útil si sabes jugarlo bien.
Welcome back. We just heard from Warlip as our next game is between two teams tied in fourth, the Unicorns of Love and Giants Gaming. We're going to start by taking a look at the lineup for the Unicorns of Love on the blue side. Vizicachi, Kikis, Power of Evil, Vardax, Hillesang, and their coach Sheepy. If we recap last week for the Unicorns of Love, they went 1-1. They had a game versus SK Gaming to start out with, which they ended up losing, and one versus Gambit that they ended up winning. And we took a look at the stats for Power of Evil in that one because he played Orianna twice. In his first game versus SK, which they ended up losing, he went 6-4-6 with 67% kill participation. And it actually shows how it happened in that game. The Unicorns of Love was very aggressive. He kept flashing in for kills. And then the game versus Gambit on the other side, 1-0-8 with an 82% kill participation. And they ended up winning that game. You could say, okay, only one kill, a lot of assists in there. But to me, it showed that the Unicorns of Love were very aggressive last spring, and it worked out for them. Now they weren't. The slower playstyle in the early game, or more controlled at least, is maybe what they should more go for here.
It's interesting because, again, we're saying the Unicorns of Love are one of these teams that has two parts. They're either very strong or not looking so great themselves. And Hillesang talked with us last week, about they recognize their mistakes, but implementing them in game sometimes doesn't quite pan out for the team. And honestly, to me, it feels like rather than fixing the small issues week by week, they're kind of throwing out the playbook. Week 1, we saw the Siege compositions. Now we're seeing this Shen Orianna composition coming out of the Unicorns. I wonder whether they'll look for something completely different, or they'll start addressing these smaller issues.
See, for me, it's not so much the compositions they play, but just the way they play. And a man for me to watch is Hillesang. I feel he's stepping up a lot in recent games, especially combining. He used to be such a lane power or lane-centric support, but right now he's roaming a lot more in those games, and he's getting a lot of kills. If you look at his kill participation as well, he has 78%, so he's involved in a lot. And look, last week, they find Svenskrin in the jungle here, and that's so vital for them because they have offensive pressure, and then they translate that in a dive on Freddy, even though he knew they were coming. Hillesang walks in with his Alistar, and not his familiar Thresh, not his familiar Morgana. Find himself another kill right here. So these roams, and that's something we talked about in the A block, in the initial opening of the show, is where we said, hey, we want people roaming together, support and jungle. We want them to make map-wide plays and provide vision. And Hillesang is doing that for the Unicorns.
Yeah, that tag team jungle support is going well. The shot calling maybe needs some work in this one for them to transcend where they are at now. We're going to turn to the other side of the stage and take a look at their opponents, though. Vying for fourth is Giants Gaming with Warlip, Frederick, Pepinero, Adri, Godfred, and Lothar. They are in a fight for fourth place. And let's be honest here, 4-4, it's good for them, especially after what we expected from them, maybe after dropping down to relegation. But they are coming off an 0-2 week versus Gambit and H2K. For me, especially the game versus Gambit was quite a test, showing that they're pretty good at the basics of the game, actually in some parts even excellent, but when it comes to the macro level, they can't find their footing.
Yeah, I think you're spot on right there. Just Godfrey is slowly getting the transition down into the play on stage, the 5v5 LCS level right now, but they're having a hard time adapting more to complex situations, mostly in the lane swaps. We saw it last week as well, where they tried to challenge the normal 4v0 meta, and here we see the Giants. They're trying to get under that tower against H2K, but H2K prevented that from happening, and once you're in this position, it's too late. The mistake's already made. It doesn't matter what you do right now, because if you try and go in, they'll punish you, and the only other option you have at that point is walk down all the way to the bot lane. Use about 45 seconds to get there, and then you're so far behind in tempo, experience, and just map-wide play that you're already falling behind. So need to see if Godfred and the Giants as a team can fix these things.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we'll see. The teams are ready to duel for fourth place, so let's head to the caster desk for picks and bans.
Thank you very much. We're about to jump into picks and bans here for the Unicorns of Love taking on Giants. And in the lobby, all 10 players have a Unicorns of Love summoner icon.
Vardax has a random level 1 icon. I don't know why.
Scumbag, using a minion icon.
Yeah.
Really not cool. I'm interested to see how these mid laners match up against one another, because for both teams, it really is a lot about Pepinero and Power of Evil. If they show up, the team show up most of the time.
That's what we've seen a lot, yeah, but it's funny then if you compare how they play in the laning phase. Pepinero is the best mid laner in terms of CS at 10 and 20 minutes, Power of Evil, he's the second worst. He's been underperforming slightly. It's hard to say because then he turns up and has a fantastic performance. That's the kind of player he is. No surprise, obviously, if you look at the first ban. It is a Jax, Whirlip. Every time you get it, you seem to perform like a monster, so teams ban it away.
And we'll see if Whirlip can perform like a monster, because he's also been doing better in his lane matchups this summer. Although his Rumble game last week, if memory serves, the first one of the week, was not particularly impressive. I do want to see what Power of Evil decides to run, because I do think not only is he not really playing up to his standard, the champion picks he's been running, there's also a reason as to why he's falling behind in those laning phases. It's always scaling.
That's true. It's been the passive mid laners. He likes the Orianna in the mid lane. We've seen the long range poke champions as well from him. I want to look more at Kikis, because he was a guy who really impressed me last week. He played really well. I like what Unicorns are doing here, banning the Gragas, setting up for potential first pick Rek'Sai, which would allow Kikis once again to play that aggressive style where he can vet in. They're even banning the Kalista because they don't want to have to first pick it, and that's why Giants realize what's going on. Ban away that Rek'Sai as well, but Morgana's open. Godfred is 4-0, and Hylissang, it's his best support.
It definitely is. We've seen Unicorns of Love have multiple support bans targeted at them. It was Hylissang's Morgana that was banned out that allowed Fnatic to beat them in the spring split. And we'll see if Hylissang can keep that very high win rate alive. I also want to mention, as we've touched on some of the roles, Pepinero has played 7 champions in his last 8 games. Only Diana has been the repeat performance. A lot of them are still available. Let's see what he decides to run today.
It's always been a Pepinero thing. You have a massive champion pool, but you don't always seem to pick the right champion in the right situation. It's very clear that Giants look towards Pepinero, they trust in him to be a big carry, but it's not always the composition then fit together, the synergies there. Like we saw last week, the Vayne, Ezreal, Evelynn comp they ran, which honestly did nothing, and it was super hard for him to execute.
I think you're saying you didn't like the Evelynn, Ezreal, Vayne? I didn't at all. And obviously Giants have decided to change this one. Kog'Maw and Janna. We don't know if that's going to be for Ardri or Pepinero.
Not really an Ardri champion.
He's not played at this split.
Yeah. I would expect it to go to the mid lane, and it's more takeaway from Power of Evil, who has played a lot of Orianna. He can take that matchup if he wants. In the mid lane, it's going to be fairly passive lane, but the Orianna can push it early on. Not a whole lot is going to happen, and then you obviously have to respect the fact you need something that can engage onto this long-range poke champion here. Janna already locked in, so Giants very clearly know what they want to do. It's poke, disengage.
Let's see how they round out their team composition. Gragas and Rek'Sai were banned away. So for the junglers, where will we be looking next? We've been seeing Evelynn, we've been seeing Nidalee, even Lee Sin in some places. Kick has also played Lee Sin last week as well.
You can go for the likes of Nunu if you want more peel. However, it is very hard to execute in the early game where you have like 0 pressure coming from the mid lane and then a Nunu jungle as well. But it just depends on how aggressive, I'm almost going to call it, Giants wants to draft you. Do they want to just take a super hard to play comp, but then if you hit that point in the late game, you just become almost unstoppable? Or do they feel like, no, we need more early game pressure, so maybe an Evelynn can then come in. It's a pick for Frederick multiple times already this split here, just to have some early power or early pressure on the map.
And we'll see if they decide that the Ezreal that's being hovered was actually played the last time Pepinero played that Kog'Maw mid. He went for that fabled blue build, Iceborne Gauntlet after the Manamune, Blade of the Ruin King as well, and just spammed out those Mystic shots to allow Pepinero to land his poke. And we do see Shyvana locked in now for Whirlip, so it's just the jungler left remaining for Giants Gaming. Unicorns, is it going to be the Orianna Shen combo that they ran last week to much success?
It's fun to see Shyvana come back in the meta just a little bit now with some of these tanks being played in the top lane. She obviously has that % damage, even got a few buffs recently. I want to see what he's going to do in the lane, and if he's going to run Smite Teleport like we used to see from Shyvana, then Freddy picked it and just ran the normal Flash Teleport and didn't really do a whole lot, honestly. But Whirlip definitely looking to have the lane dominance here on this Shyvana. And okay, switching it up a little bit for Unicorns of Love. No more passive mid lane.
But is it going to be enough? Power of Evil has ran 3 games of Orianna, 3 games of Kog'Maw, 2 games of Cassiopeia. That's it. That's all he's ran. This is the first time we're going to see him on Syndra, a champion that's actually nobody's playing, really. I'm trying to think of the last time I saw Syndra, and Spring is what comes to mind.
In Europe, at least, yeah. And I think it was Power Evil as well playing it. I mean, he's always been a Syndra main. Gone for the long-range poke champions late, you know, back to more lane dominance. I like it with the Lee Sin, and what I like here from Unicorns is the fact that this is what worked for them against Gambit last week. It's have mid lane pressure and have a jungler who can invade in there to get down this vision here, because then Hylissang can join.
Hang on, there's some monkey business happening.
Wukong jungle.
Yeah. Tell the viewers what you think of Wukong jungle, Deficio.
I mean, whenever I have seen it, it's done absolutely nothing. Other than just knock someone off for like a second and then it dies. But I want to see what FLICKR can do. I just don't really understand it in this comp here, because almost everything you have, at least in terms of your carries at this point, is long-range poke, dive back, and now you have a Wukong who can only do one thing. That's jump in.
You can do that with Shyvana. I'm a believer.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's what I can see from it. Like, the combo must be Wukong going in, you knock up a target, Shyvana then jumps in, and then these two guys together has to take down, let's say, Vardex in the backline. Problem is, there's this thing called a Black Shield, because the Morgana was first picked, so that's going to stop all this CC from coming in onto Vardex. And then Wukong tends to be that champion who jumps in, uses the gap closer, and then he kind of just sits there. But I want to see what it's going to do. I mean, this is a new one for me as well. And I really want to see what FLICKR can do.
We've talked about picks and bans from Giants in the past, talked about whether we like them or don't like them. Seeing Wukong locked in and watching Deficio's face is one of the highlights. We'll see how these two team comps work out. The first Syndra of Summer, the first Wukong of Summer. Let us know who you think is going to win, guys. At LOL Esports, hashtag UOL win or hashtag GIA win. This is the battle for sole control of 4th place. And the fans here think it's going to be Unicorns. They're not believing in the fire monkey power. But I'm looking forward to the cyclone of death. And we'll find out who will be dying, though. That is the real question.
That's true. Let's see how Giants wants to play it out. Normally when Adri runs his Ezreal here, he goes for that Iceborne Gauntlet and focus very much in just kiting. Fits in with Pipinera here. Doesn't really fit in with the other two picks, but obviously they have a bit of a 1-4 setup. You have the Shyvana sitting in the side lane. The percent damage against the Shen. No smite though from Werlip, so not aiming for full dual potential. Wanted to flash for himself. Unicorns of Love are invading in early. Trying to get a few of these standard D boards, but Giants might look to fight.
Well, we'll find out. Don't have the greatest of CC at level 1. But Giants may have the element of surprise. Unicorns of Love. They're now split up and recalling. If Giants were to pull the trigger. Oh, this is going to get scary. Although UOL should be able to make it out.
Because Giants now have the problem. They don't want to walk in and risk face-taking Unicorns as well, even though it's in their own jungle. It is very... Pipinera just singing a little bit, but it's very predictable with these invades in, get the D boards down at level 1. So we see teams sometimes try group up 5 members, see if you can catch someone, get a first blood, get a flash. In this case here, nothing.
Well, a little bit of support here for Giants. Local crowd, Spanish flags, and we'll see whether or not the Giant Shyvana and Wukong will be enough. Werlip and Frederick really digging deep in the playbook. See how it works out for them. So Werlip, he started off on the Raptor camp. We see Chachi's moved his way up top already. He's going to miss that CS. We'll pretend we didn't see it. Vardex and Hylissang going to get their hands on the Krug. I think Adri and Godfrey got the Gromp as well. So
they did, yeah.
We'll see how this race to level 2 pans out.
Both got a camp here. Sadly for Unicorns of Love, 2 melee minions already dead. So they only managed to get 1 once they return. There's 2 for Giants. So they should get level 2 before them if they push it in. The double range to see if they can at least poke a little bit. There's the level 2 for them.
Wow,
but again, it's not the most aggressive lane, as Gianna is considered one of the most passive lanes, honestly, where you can just sit back safely and farm, and therefore they don't use it at all and just gonna even out together.
So sit back safely, assuming Hylissang does not connect with those dark bindings. One of the most successful.
Yeah, let's talk about this bot lane here for Unicorns, because this is what they used last split in the playoffs. Vardex on Jinx, Hylissang on Morgana, or Thresh. And then you chain CC because you have the traps from Vardex, you have that skill shot landing from Hylissang, And basically what happened was they would fall behind in CS almost every single game, but then Hylissang would land a binding or hook and they would get a kill. And suddenly Vardax would start getting more and more fit in the lane just from getting these kills. And that's the way Unicorns transition into the mid game with a strong AD carry despite falling behind in farm. Let's see if they can do the same against Giants.
Well, we will find out. I want to quickly touch on that Morgana you mentioned. He's actually got the highest win rate out of the most popular champions here in Europe. 73%. He's got 11 wins and 4 losses. Hylissang's not going to connect with that Dark Binding. I also want to briefly mention that Shyvana, she did receive some changes recently. She's going to allow some additional auto attack damage while she's got that burnout on. We saw trading with Vizicachi and getting a little bit of an advantage. So we'll see if Werlip can use Shyvana better than Freddy did. He's already trying to get some crab control, as you see Frederick getting crab control down bottom. So small advantages in vision and gold.
Let's see Frederick first gang on this Wukong. He has a lot of damage in the early game and he's going in.
Decoy into the Nimbus strike, and there's the scatter the weak. But a good trade onto Power of Evil. He's got no potions left versus all of the flask and cookies of Pepinero, so advantage for sustain the Giant side.
Yeah, I really like the gank. It doesn't really cost Frederick anything just to go in, deal a bit of damage and just back out. No flash used from him. Power Evil the same though, but let's see what Kikis can do.
Well, flash used and ghost. First gank from Kikis is more impactful.
The way Power of Evil had the lane here made it super tricky for Pepinero to do anything. If you notice how there were more minions pushing in towards Unicorns, it forced Pepinero to sit pretty far up in the lane. And that's what Kikis noticed and went in for. Now he's going to find Frederick and take away his Wolf, I believe.
I think Frederick got that one. We did see Kikis now trying to challenge. Frederick's even going to go for the smaller Wolf camps. That Nimbus strike. Werlip a little bit low, gets taunted up. Going to carry on chasing with that burnout and twin bite. Hylissang gonna connect with a Dark Binding. This should lead into the Flame Chompers. Exhaust for exhaust as the rocket launcher puts more pain down onto Audrey. Summoner spells, heal and exhaust versus just exhaust.
Yeah, this is the combo they want to use, binding into the trap from Vardax. It is not as strong though as when they used it in the playoffs in the spring split. Jinx has received quite some nerfs, her ulti, especially in the early game, does a lot less damage, and that's what they always used. At level 6, you have this combo here, you get them low and you execute them there with the Jinx ult. It's going to be a bit harder for them, but they're going to get a free lane no matter what against this Ezreal Jenna.
Well, Frederick's in trouble. He's about to get surrounded here by the Unicorns of Love. You're going to see a ward hop from Kikis. Decoy comes up. Power of Evil's looking for the stun. The flash taunt doesn't connect because Frederick flashes away. And now all of a sudden, Werlip, he's found his hands onto Kikis. Kikis is being really burned alive. But he does manage to get out clean. And we see flashes traded, top laner for jungle.
Nice little flash here from Frederick, expecting Vizicachi to come over the wall and instantly reacting. Werlip is going to be a bit of a bully this game. Shen is not going to be able to do a whole lot against him one-on-one. He's also getting the early lifesteal because it's going to be a bit of a sustained battle in that case. And he's just going to sit and split push. That's what he's going to try to do all game long while you have the poke from the rest of Giants. And then Frederick is the only guy where I just need to see how he fits into the comp. If it's because they want to poke someone down low and then use Frederick as hard engage against UOL, if that's the way they want to play it. Maybe he's just a big fan of Wukong now. There's been quite a few junglers being banned.
It seems to be working at least a little. We'll see how effectively Frederick can flank and use that ultimate, the Cyclone. Because Syndra and Jinx, only one of them can get black shielded. So if they're positioning correctly, there are targets for Giants to find. And Unicorns have been notorious for being in the wrong place at the right time, should I say, or the at the right time in the wrong place.
Yeah, I mean, let's see what happens bot lane here. First binding already connected, so you got for it.
Oh, and the stun! Force of will, unleashed power. Easy peasy kill for Power of Evil. Frederick's going to chase, got no flash because he needed to flash away safely, and Unicorns get first blood. That was just really well played.
Yeah, one of the reasons they wanted this Syndra pick in the mid lane, you have that mid lane pressure, he pushed it in, Pepinero was back at base, and then he just roams down towards the mid lane. I don't think there's any wards in the river to spot him. Easy binding on the tower. It's so difficult when you're stuck on your own tower trying to help last hitting here, you're trying to help your AD carry, and then binding suddenly start flying left and right. And instantly with Power Weaver showing up, that's a first blood for Unicorns of Love, and it wasn't risky. That's what I like. Yes, it's a tower dive, but it was controlled because Pepinero was back in base. It was just connect one binding, then instantly burst him down and then get out. And that's what Unicorns did so poorly in the first few weeks, was they took all these chances here where they didn't really know what the risk was. Gambit, they showed a better game. This was a good start as well for Unicorns.
So let's see if Unicorns can keep it up. And I want to see if they can take advantage of Giants' little power trough at the moment. Tier first for Pepinero. Audrey wants the mana move, but it's not completed yet. So that's Tier Pickaxe versus BF Sword. And if you combine that with the burst of a Syndra, it's a lot of damage. The only thing for UOL, there is the potential to run out of damage late game. When you consider they are against a Shyvana who looks to be going towards Blade, a Wukong, a Kog'Maw in Israel. So if at any point UOL slow down, Giants will be very happy.
They have Vardex as like the late game security, but it's definitely more about the mid game for Unicorns with this Syndra here. With the fact that you have the ability to land a long range binding or stun. Let's see what happens to Vardex. He's taking quite a lot of damage from Adri.
He really has. With no support there, you can see Hylissang in the mid lane. Moving towards mid lane. Very quickly, Deficio, 10 seconds on the clock. Power of Evil is going against the trend. He's traditionally down 4 CS at this point.
He's also playing Syndra, so it helps.
He's up 15, but again, champion picks, right? Playing in his favor. Frederick gets caught up by the Dark Binding. Cyclone will delay Hylissang as well as Kikis. Frederick is going to get kicked back by Kikis. And another kill for Unicorns of Love.
And we talked about the jungle support synergy. Hylissang and Kikis. Oh, Kikis taking a lot of damage.
Well, you see a flash away from Pepinero. Living Artillery's going to be charging up. He's got mana from blue buff. He gets caught out. Power of Evil now trying to get away. Here's Adri. He's replied.
Vardex.
He's going to be firing the Super Mega Death Rocket. He's going to see it now. We did see Pepinero. He's going to be in trouble. That's going to go wide. Pepinero gets away. And Godfred picked up the kill onto Power of Evil.
So they managed to get a return kill for Giants here, but we talked about this jungle support synergy and why I like when Kikis can play these jungles where he can invade. Because it opens up for Hylissang to join him. Look for the enemy jungle, you have the mid lane pressure from the Syndra, and you find Frederick, you get the kill. In the end though, Giants gets a return one. Vardex missed his ulti on the way up, but can't really fault him too much for them. Let's see it again. This is the jungle support synergy to find Frederick. Because of the ulti from Hylissang, he knows where Frederick is going, and gets the kill. Power Evil joins as well. Now they just want to back away from this one. But notice how the bot lane from Giants is on their way, and Vardex is stuck on his own tower. Pepinero doing a great job dealing damage as well. In the end, Power Evil will go down. He's trying. He has the ulti ready. Wants a few more of the orbs down on the ground, but goes down.
Yeah, going to get taken out eventually. So well played. Giants to at least get a kill on the board. Very, very nearly. Another kill for the Unicorns of Love. But champion pick playing in favor of Power of Evil. He's got a CS advantage. We'll see if he can again claw back, because Pepinero's got the highest CS at 20 difference versus his opponents. Usually around 15. I'm not expecting it this time round.
No.
With that Kog'Maw.
Should continue the same trend here. But there's some great wave clear just from Pepinero alone on the side of Giants. But they need him because Ezreal has to have the ulti ready to proper wave clear. Shyvana, you need to stand in the minion wave. So it's basically about Pepinero when it comes to being the defense of Giants. And that can be very tricky for them, especially if they start falling behind. Unicorn's not really running any hard engage on their side. It's relying on connecting skill shots. You need to land a stun from a Syndra, long range binding from a Morgana. That can be tricky for them unless you start getting now these outer turrets and open up the map, get the vision control, the deep vision in, and then you start looking for these picks where they simply can't see you. They're forced to face check you. And that's where it goes wrong for Giants.
Well, take a look at both junglers on the map. Frederick up top, Kikis was down bottom. Neither of these teams, I think, particularly super strong at taking Dragon. We'll see when they decide to prioritize it. It looks like Willip maybe wants to start this fight. Very early flash from Chachi. I think he should be able to get away. He does. As we touch on those Dragons, 2.3 to 2.0. Those Dragon stats are very, very similar. Unicorns have got 19 in the split. Giants got 16. And there it actually gets picked up because Frederick showed top.
I like this play, though, from Giants. You have your strong lane at the moment. That's the Shyvana. That's the one winning. It's very hard for you to fight mid lane because Pepinero is so much weaker than Power of Evil at this point here. Kikis as well on this Lee Sin is always around that mid lane. So you go towards your strong lane. That's the top one. You push it in. You trade it for the Dragon. Okay, you also lost mid tower, but that would have gone down anyway because you're losing the lane. So at least you get something. You trade an objective. And it also opens up now the lane for Willip to really split push. Push it in deep. If Chachi decides to teleport away right here, this top tower is going to take a lot of damage. Power of Evil has to flash.
He does, and there's not a lot of support here for Unicorns. Blue buff was secured. True Shot Barrage does go across. Frederick gets knocked up and knocked back. It looked all so good, but that Lee Sin, Dragon's Rage, showing just how easy it is to get rid of Wukong.
Somebody does pick him away, kick him away, pick him away. That would be... that looks super weird. Anyway.
Words are hard.
Yeah, it is. English is a very difficult language. When you're Danish, at least.
Not as difficult as German as I'm trying to learn. Trying being the operative word. But Dragon, rather, Tower, number 2, being hammered away. Vardek still hasn't backed. Keep in mind, he backed to get that BF sword earlier. He's sitting on a lot of gold. Same with Audrey. Tier and Pickaxe, 2,100 and 2,000. So big power spikes to be gained as these 80 carries eventually leave lane.
Yeah, Giant's been behind in these lanes here. Yeah, there might be even in farm in the bot lane, but it's always pushed into that tower that gave Power of Evil a kill early on because he could roam down, and it's going to give them a tower as well if it's 2v2. The fact they only rely on Whirlip at the moment, I mean, look what he can do. Chachi can't touch him at all. Display of the Rune King Shyvana, percent damage, different from both items and your champion now. So it's very one-sided lane, but the problem is the other 2 lanes are falling. And Shyvana alone shouldn't be enough of a spade push threat to make it, or to force Unicorns to play passive, because they're winning the bot lane, they won the mid lane, they can start roaming around between the lanes on the bottom side. With this Lee Sin here, you already see them start getting some deep wards in the jungle.
So we're even on gold, 1 tower to 1. There's only a dragon and a kill that separates these teams. The big CS differences between the mid lane and the top lane respectively. Peppy picked himself up that Archangel's, moving towards Seraph. We did see Audrey's about to back, so I'm expecting a Mana Immune and a Cutlass, which should be picked up, and it has. I think Vardags may have enough money for that eye edge once he decides to back. So big spikes in damage coming out for both teams.
Yeah, Vardags just wants that bot lane tower down. Frederick is there to defend, but as you mentioned, Audrey, he goes Blade second, and then third item is normally the Gauntlet for him. In this case, it would also make sense just for the kite. Buy time for Whirlip to split push. Let him push it all the way down to tier 2 tower. Then once Unicorns have to send 2 guys to stop him, that's where suddenly Giants will have a numbers advantage elsewhere on the map, and use the other 4 members to push it down and poke, force someone back to base. There are different ways Giants can, force Unicorns to move around the map and get themselves in a disadvantage. Problem is, if you keep losing your bot and mid lane, then Unicorns will keep getting wards into your jungle and force you to come face check them into all these skill shots we talked about, Syndra stun, binding from Hylissang, and then they just blow you up here in the mid game.
So mid game is very rapidly approaching. And we'll see what kind of impact Whirlip can pull. How many resources can he get dedicated to him? Because that will free up the rest of Giants to either defend or push.
Pepinero got a little bit delayed in his build here. Had to delay the Luden's Echo because he couldn't farm up 1600 gold for the large rod here, so he had to just complete the Seraph at first. So I'm just behind a little bit, normally. Even though Luden's Echo is nerfed, it's still a great item for him. And he needs it to really become powerful. Unicorns, we talked about how this bot lane was being pushed in over and over. Very easy pick for them.
So it does secure it. Vardags 001 on this Jinx. He's actually the 11th lowest damage percentage for his team, for his role rather, in terms of AD carry. So he's actually behind both Woolite and Mr. Rolls in terms of dealing damage versus the rest of his teammates. And he's going to be required to carry as this game goes on. Shen and Lee Sin are going to be there just to protect and peel for him. We need to keep a close eye on his positioning, how well he can stick to the Giants' targets, because there will be a lot of threat from Kog, from Wukong, and from Shyvana.
It's going to be pretty slow damage though coming from Giants, because again, it's about landing that poke first before you go for that all-in, unless Unicorns overextends on the map. So they should be able to at least predict when Giants wants to engage, also because Whirlip is going to push down the top lane, so you can either see him leave the lane because he roams into mid lane from the top side, or he steps away from the Shen and ready to teleport. That means Unicorns should be able to communicate when Giants wants to play aggressive and when not.
Now some gold in the lead for the Unicorns of Love. The trends that we've seen all game long continue. Shyvana's pushing in Shen. Power of Evil on that Syndra is pushing in Pepinero's Cogmore. And the Dragon was secured by UOL once Frederick secured the top tower. So let's see if Unicorns prioritize the Dragon again. It feels like they've got numbers down bottom. There's teleport, there's Stand United available, and there's deep wards. So UOL have the recipe if they want to start.
And they really want to play around the Dragons because they want to find ways to force Giants to come into a straight team fight and not just sit back, you know, control the tempo, land the poke first. No, start the Dragon here, force Giants to come in, move into this river. You have already double pink wards in it. You can push the bot lane and mid lane and then move in there. Don't allow Giants to play out the wards because you want to play around it. Again, you need to land these skill shots. That's your engage. So if you deny the vision, Giants might just have to give up the Dragon or go into a very, very risky team fight.
Flame Chomp is going to zone away the Giants for now. The rest of UOL clearing out all of the wards that Giants have just placed with the exception of that Scuttle Crab ward. It's out of vision of the ping.
I like this ward here because you know there's going to be a ping in the small bush, and you also know there might be a ping near the Dragon wall itself, and that shouldn't reach this one wall placed over the ward from Giants. So it's a safe one, but we just talked about it. As soon as some of the wards get cleared away, Giants says, okay, we can't go in because we can't land the poke, so we just have to back away. 2 Dragons now for Unicorns. I want to see this top tower though, where Chachi is defending it, because Whirlip is pushing it in. Okay, it's still almost full HP, so Chachi has been able to just hold it here for now. Whirlip will take his blue buff though.
Yeah, Whirlip's going to steal UOL's blue. Chachi's going to try steal, and not going to get it off. We do see the feint, or the dash taunt rather. Gonna hold Whirlip in place. Whirlip's not super tanky. If Power of Evil gets a stun, he could blow Whirlip up. Whirlip's going low. Dragon's Descent's available, but he's been taunted. Not gonna be able to cast it. Did actually get cast at the end there before Power of Evil secured the kill with the Ignite. Now Kikis sets his sights on Frederick. We're following another super mega death rocket. The giant smiley face gonna help Power of Evil out. Stand United comes out now from Vizichachi. Let's see if we can get that flash shadow dash. The name I was searching for a second ago and lost. Audrey gets caught by the zap, so Unicorns get 2 kills and they punish Giants Invade.
Yeah, invading, but also notice how Whirlip, he got stopped in his ulti. He tried to jump down on Power Evil, got stunned. That basically ruined his entire day because he didn't do anything after. The full tank Wukong came in, didn't really do a whole lot. Unicorns wins another fight here in the mid game. Power of Evil, 3 kills. Death cap completed. He's having a great game so far, and he's dealing the damage for Unicorns. Let's see it again. So the ton of Whirlip to try and buy time now. Notice Power of Evil here and he's stunned. How it hits Whirlip when he's about to jump in onto him, stuns him. He doesn't get to join the Wukong in the backline. That's the whole combo they want to use from Giant side. Is Wukong goes in, knocks them up, and then Shyvana joins in as well. Completely interrupted.
It's very important to note that both Syndra and Lee Sin, and even Jinx to a certain extent, have got tools to deal with the Wukong Shyvana engage. Flame Chompers, Scatter the Weak, Dragon's Rage, all of those AoE CC spells, super effective against Shyvana and Wukong. As you see, Giants, they found themselves a Kick-Ass, and he's just gonna get munched down. Hylissang and Vardax are in trouble. Black Shield will prevent the Howling Gale. Whirlip is gonna get rooted in place, and he's forced to defensively Dragon's Descent away. Teleport was taken from Vizichachi, so Giants will have the timer for that, and they should be able to pressure it. Whirlip gets caught up by the Shadow Dash. Tower comes in. Frederick gets the Cyclone down. Vardax flash heals himself away. Pepinero gets stunned up, and Chachi taunts him. Super Mega Death Rocket not even needed, as Power of Evil is 4-1. And grab themselves another kill.
There's so many skill shots flying out for Unicorns of Love here, and if one of them catches you, you know the next one is gonna follow, and you're gonna get bursted down. Tower in the top lane dying. Unicorns got all 3 outers. Let's see Archery. He's trying to get the one in the bottom lane, but this will even kick is being caught out at first. Small trap from Giants, gave them the first kill, but couldn't simply follow up because then suddenly skill shots, they start flying in left and right.
And all of Whirlip's power is nullified when he's being focused. He doesn't have the tankiness. Adri, level 12 versus Kikis. Kikis may be able to solo him. Challenging Smite goes out. Flash and heal still available for Adri. He's chasing. Stand United comes out from Chachi. There's a flash and a taunt available. Can he connect? Adri, one more Mystic shot. He's used all of his summoners. Arcane Shift not going to be available. Kikis and Chachi, the energy users combine to take down Ezreal.
Not sure why Adri stayed after getting that bot lane tower. Just probably wanted to push in the next one. See if he could reset the whole wave and buy some more farm later in the game. Ends up going down though, Giants. Staying around the Baron. They have the Blade of the Rune King Shyvana. Have Pepinero as well. very, very risky though if they do start it. Unicorns, they're on their way. Let's see if they're going to go straight to try and stop it.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that. Kog'Maw, of course, with his percentage HP, could melt through it. Giants more Barons than Unicorns of Love. Usually a little quicker as well. Giants are going to be the ones that back away this time around. Realize how dangerous the game they were playing was. And instead, going to just maintain this 2,000 deficit, try to find an opportunity. Because at the moment, it's UOLs that is finding weaknesses in Giants' positional play.
Giants never really been able to get any control of the map, except for around the top lane with Whirlip winning his lane on the Shyvana, as we mentioned in Champs, like how she's come back a little bit now that we see some teams running the big tanks, like Shen. You pick Shyvana into it, you have a very one-sided lane. But the problem is you've been losing bot lane, you've been losing the mid lane. Therefore, you lost the vision wall. And you can never set up a siege because there's always the risk of you getting caught out and dying. So they're down 2 dragons. Next one is going to be set up already by the Unicorns. I mean, look, there's 4 pink wards in the river around it. So it's going to be tricky here for Giants with how they want to play it out. We can see the strategy, except for how Frederick is going to fit into it 100%. But the rest made sense. Shyvana top of split, 3 guys to group with disengage and long range poke.
We'll see whether or not Unicorns can maintain control of that dragon, because as we mentioned earlier, leading up to this game, they'd secured 19, and they'd actually given up 14. So slightly ahead over the course of their games. But they've had absolute control. You've got to feel the Ezreal and Kog'Maw helps play into that favor for this particular match. We'll see whether or not Giants can get the warding and the poke.
I want to see Giants make a decision here, saying if we don't want to try and fight for the dragon, we have to try and trade it for another tower. Mid lane could be one of them pushing down as long as you have a ward down here where Unicorns are running around now, so you can spot them come from the dragon into mid lane. Otherwise, try a move where you move over to take the tier 2 tower with Whirlip. It's very risky though, because then suddenly Unicorns might be able to catch the wave on the bot side. But at this point here, if you just keep sitting back and waiting, it becomes super difficult for you to get back in the game.
So take a look at your items very quickly as another fight could get together. Sunfire Cape Blade for Whirlip Shyvana. Warmogs picked up for Frederick. Vardags and Kickers, they're onto this dragon, and Giants are not really in a position to contest despite having vision. Once more, they just let the objective go uncontested. They don't get the tower. That's a Fisher you really wanted to see them try push.
Well, it was just an example of like, you need to try and get something when you're giving up these 3 dragons here, because yeah, you don't have the vision to go in and take the fight, so you have to surrender the objective. But if you don't gain anything on the map, it takes too long for you then to reach a late game point where you might be able to really do all the Unicorns of Love. And by that time, there can be 5 dragons, there can be a Baron, because Unicorns can do exactly what they've done around Dragon, around the Baron. Like, nothing stops them from doing that. It's the same kind of way. Place the pink wards here, play around the fact that Giants can't go in and face check you if you want to take down that objective. Problem is, obviously, this bot lane was pushing. That's why Giants didn't do it, because UOL would just caught it and taking the tier 2 tower as well.
And I definitely feel like as long as UOL are not caught by surprise, they're in a position where they can dictate the flow of a team fight with the Morgana, the Lee Sin, the Shen. However, if they do find a position where they can get flanked or get caught out, there are so many tools for Giants to find kills. But that's the thing, Giants have to find them, right? They have to find the angles. Get the darkness and vision from UOL. Use that Shyvana and Wukong to surprise UOL. They've not been able to do it yet.
Those 2 guys have to be able to get a flank going, otherwise it's too predictable. Too many things that can interrupt them from jumping in.
Chachi's even going towards, it's most likely going to be Trinity Force to help counter some of the damage. Whirlip's gone in, he's flashed forward for that one. Blade of the Rune King slow is on. Power of Evil's going to get the stand united. True Shot Barrage does not connect. Whirlip used his flash for that. And they did get Power of Evil's flash and Chachi's ultimate.
Yeah, not sure what Power of Evil was doing in the river there on his own, but nice response from Giants, jumping him, trying to open up this mid lane here. For now, it's only Hillsing, so tower goes down. Unicorns decide to split up on the map. Power of Evil got caught out, cost them the mid tower, so finally Giants, they get something here.
As soon as they surprise Power of Evil, as soon as they surprise Unicorns of Love, Unicorns can't combo all of their disengage and all of their tools and then give up their 3rd tower. It's only 1,000 gold. It's touching distance, but it's 3 dragons.
Yeah,
that's going to become a worry. If Giants do not contest the next one, there is a 6-minute timer. 6-minute time that UOL will stop before they say, we dare you to now fight us.
And also Unicorns, as we talked about before, can just switch all the focus onto the Baron. Play the same game around these pink wards here. Get into the jungle of Giants. Get these layers down of wards where suddenly Giants has to face shake multiple pushes. And you can't do that if the comp they're running. And Werlip still wants to try and be a split pusher. He's the guy who could face check, maybe, with FLICKR as well. But if he's forced to then disengage out, it becomes super tough. And Godfred.
Well, Godfred is down. Vardags does connect with the ulti. So there's the disengage tools from Giants unavailable. Keep in mind, no stand united for Chachi, but he does have teleport.
We'll get the Trinity Force, trying to see if he can hold Werlip in the one-on-one and buy time for the rest of his team. Unicorns didn't even get to place many wards before Godfrey got caught out. But there was the river in their control. You can't really siege. Pepinero is going to clear that every single time. You can group up and try and create a pick, but aiming to go in and get some tower damage against Pepinero, that's going to be really, really tough.
Yeah, I really want to see how Unicorns are going to break open the Giants' base. The moment Giants seem split up, they've got the top half of the map pushing into UOL's jungle. You can see both Wukong and Shyvana now slowly moving their way towards this Baron. Vision control lies strongly in favor of the Unicorns. And Hylissang unwittingly in vision. Frederick's come in, he's got knocked away. Cyclone is up, but look at the disengage. It is being used. Kikis is going to avoid the Cyclone. Two-shot barrage connects Vardags, but that's just a clip. That's not a lot. Werlip's got the ability to go in with that descent. And Chachi has stand united, so a lot of engage and fluff and hubbub for nothing.
And then engage gone from Giants. I don't know if Adri was trying to bait it. He used his scrying up on the Baron even though they saw Hylissang. Either because he just wanted to see if they were doing it, or maybe it's like, hey, we don't know where you guys are, so we're guessing you're on the Baron, but jokes on you. Within Frederick jumps in at the same time, but Giants, again, there are too many things that stops Frederick from really having an impact in this game. He's building full tank, obviously, so he's not going to kill anyone on his own. He needs help from the rest of his team if he wants to get these carries down from Unicorns.
So, Defisher, we've not really touched too much on the items in a while. As you mentioned, Frederick going tank, Randuins and Warriors there for Kikis' Lee Sin. Almost Bloodthirst, the Phantom Dancer Eye-Edge for Vardags, and both Pepinero and Adri have had their tier items upgraded for a while. Neuramana, Iceborne, you see the Ludens, another VF and Seraph. So, again, all of that scaling, that weakness that Ezreal and Kog'Maw had in early to mid has now been overcome. And you can almost feel that because Giants are trying to push. They're trying to find ways, and look at that poke. And that's what it means.
Yeah.
You have those spikes, you have the ability to get the damage down. Can they secure a tower, though? That's what it's got to equate to.
Giants getting down these outer turrets has been super important for them to stay relevant in the game. They're going straight for Baron. After they just landed that poke here, Werlip joining in as well. He has a lot of the damage. They need to take it down. Let's see what's going to happen. Kikis is very far away. The rest of Unicorns, they're moving in.
So can Unicorns find the team fight? Hylissang is chunked out. Dark Binding is not going to connect, and Power of Evil's moving forward. Scatter the Weak gets the stuns, but Frederick is able to smite it up. That's a Cyclone. Gets onto Hylissang and Vardags, forcing them away from the fight. Monsoon will keep Frederick alive for a few seconds longer, just in time for Kikis to come in and try help some kills. Vardags gets 2 of Giants down at the cost of Hylissang, but crucially, 3 members with Baron alive.
We really got to see, though, what Giants wants to do. They scaled to the late game here. Pepinero and Adri suddenly start having quite a lot of poke damage. They landed, didn't kill anyone, but they forced them back to base. Rushed the Baron here. Problem for them, there were still so many members of Unicorns around it. Giants gets the Baron, though, and get 1 kill for it, but they're losing that Dragon. So now 4 Dragons to 0 for the Unicorns of Love. The next 6 minutes will be key. Frederick has a very nice ulti. Ends up going down, though, in the end, the Shin ulti on the Power of Evil, and Kikis, beautiful play on the Lee Sin.
Austin Vardags get that double kill. Defisher, something we've actually not mentioned at all is just how little wave clear the Unicorns of Love have on their side when Syndra is not around. So if Power of Evil's not able to help clear these waves, and if Giants can push with Werlip 1-4, or even a 1-3-1 with Ezreal, maybe that's a way to crack open those inner turrets.
It is for sure. Very key for Giants that Werlip has the Baron buff and one of the guys grouping in the mid lane as well. So they have 2 lanes at least with the buffed up minions. That makes it very difficult for an AP mage to clear them out. And also Werlip with the minions together can take down a tower super easily. So they need to use him here. They might even look for another fight. Power of Evil.
Take a look. Frederick held on to the trigger, didn't throw down his ultimate. Chachi gets caught out by that Voidoo's, Caustic Spittle rather. And Willip's going to find Kikis. So Giants, again, they're looking for opportunities. They're trying to push. Unicorns not cracking under the pressure yet.
Giants are a bit afraid of setting up a split push because they don't have teleport on Whirlip. That is very key for them because it means the Shen can always join in, and therefore they are afraid of Unicorns maybe starting a fight. But I still think use that Shyvana now in the split push. Oh, go for the fight.
Well, they're going to go for the fight. Power of Evil's going to get caught out, and he is down. One of the damage threats from Unicorns is out, and Vardax is falling low. Stangenix will keep him up for a few more seconds as Chachi's forced to flash away defensively. Vardax and Kikis in full retreat. As Giants did get PoE. They do have Baron. It looks like they're going down this middle lane.
Look how many members from Unicorns are blinking red here. So close for Giants, getting more kills. They have a massive wave coming top. They can take the mid lane as well. It's a good play from Giants. Thinking about setting up their split push, saying no, we can see Unicorns are pushing the mid lane. We have the Baron. We can now get the flank, win the fight, open up the base. And Whirlip is gonna ride that big wave from the top lane as well.
Does manage to get out. So Giants now moving towards this top half of the map. They've got through the mid game. We're getting into the late game, arguably in the late game already. And all of a sudden, the Unicorns of Love now have to deal with this Ezreal Kog'Maw combo. Unicorns have to defend against the comp that they were trying to popularize in Europe. Or at least the poking style of play would be more accurate, I feel. Let's see if they know how to counter it, considering how many times they played it.
Well, it's going to be even harder for them because now Giants getting down these outer turrets. They're suddenly the ones who can start warding their own flanks. They're the ones who can group up and start landing this poke here. Well, they should just jump over the wall. That is an ulted down, though. Same goes for the bot lane tower. It's still about that next dragon for the Unicorns. They need it, and they need to use it then to push and try and end the game here. Otherwise, Giants still has a great chance at winning with the comp they have.
It's really, really interesting. Giants are still down in gold. They're down in kills. They're down in dragons. This jungle Wukong 0-3-2, but it's actually Giants that are now in control of the tempo of the game. I think that's going to swing back into favor of UOL once this dragon gets closer to spawning, because the pressure will then be on Giants to respond. They've not done it the 4 previous times at all. They've been pushed away, they've been zoned away. Do they finally have the strength to contest? Because if they don't, it's aspect of the dragon.
It's going to be more about the 1 minute before dragon even spawns. It's going to be the fight over the control of the dragon area that's going to determine it for Giants. They want to see if they can push out the mid and bot lane before dragon spawns and then use those waves, and when Unicorns go down to clear the waves, to get into that dragon area here, set up their own wards, their own control, and don't get forced into face-checking Unicorns of Love. Then they can sit there and poke. Then they can control the tempo. For now as well, they have 2 outer turrets left. In the side though, or the 2 side lanes. Top lane 1 is going to be the difficult one because you don't want to risk giving up that free objective. And trading it for Baron is not worth it when it's 5 dragons.
So, minutes and a half until Dragon, Deficio. A minute 50 till Baron. Giants secure blue buff at the cost of their mid inner turret. We saw Vardax getting a couple of hits on there. Teleports available for both top laners, but not Flash. So just taking stock of where we set ourselves up as we get closer to one of these big objective battles.
And let's follow the build-up now. 1 minute, 10 seconds. Unicorn saying, let's go back to base, use the gold we have. Void Staff just picked up, I believe, from Power of Evil. It does give Giants the chance to move in here, clear down these pink wards here. I would love to see Unicorns back just 30 seconds before, but they might have just needed that extra amount of gold to complete an item before the fight. It does allow Giants though to come in. We talked about this a minute before. You start setting up. Suddenly now, it's not about face-taking Unicorns of Love. It's about sitting there and poking on them. Because you start placing wards behind the dragon as well. You get these different layers just as around the Baron, and you can suddenly see a lot. Hylissang taking a lot of damage.
He has indeed. Frederick's going to try chase in. He's going to use that Cyclone now to try and get away on the backline. Power of Evil is out. Kikis is trying to find a target. They've got Audrey. It's all on Vardax. Vardax is going to flash away from Frederick. He's throwing down the rockets as Whirlip is going to descent in. He's sinking the Flame Breath, the Flame Sprinkler, the Burnout with Vardax out. Whirlip can run amok over the Unicorns of Love. Dragons are the superior mythical monsters, and and he's trying to kill Chachi. Whirlib is not going to hop over the wall because he's got no flash to do so. Dragon's up in 5 seconds. Giants want the inhibitor and will expect him to peel back for the objective.
They have no smite, obviously. Kick is still alive, but they're going to get the inhibitor. Nice team fight again from Giants. They had finally put up proper wards around the Dragon. They could start the fight. They could see Unicorns move in. They get to land all the poke. Let's see what's going to happen here. Unicorns might be able to just delay Giants and force them to stay with 50% HP until the rest of the Unicorns are alive. As long as they dodge around Pepinero. He's running out of mana, though, for himself. And they're going to keep trying to stop the recalls. Hillsing might spot him here with the ward as well.
Might not be enough time if Giants back away.
Tables have turned now. Tables have turned.
Be able to get this. There's super minions in the middle lane. Pepinero, he's opted to stay. He's low on mana. Kikis has gone forward. Dragon's Rage actually boots Peppy a little bit closer to safety.
TP.
Teleport coming in for Whirlib as Frederick does not have access to his ulti. Whirlib's going to get closer to Descent. Frederick will get taunted up. True Shot Barrage goes across, and Lozok, I agree with you. This is a tense situation. Whirlib is going to get zapped by Vardag's Jinx. Dragon still standing. Look at Peppy's HP and mana. He needs both if another fight breaks out.
Yeah, he really wants to try and get some mana back, but he can't really recall. He's staying once again. Unicorns, they're going in.
The tension you can cut with a knife. We see Whirlib and Audrey going to find Hylissang, but they will lose Frederick. Cyclone was used there, and Giants seem to have control of the
now
pit.
super minions coming in the mid lane.
Wow, that's a flash away from the Deathlock, and Achachi is going to taunt up Whirlib. Monsoon will keep Whirlib alive for a few seconds longer. Kikis is looking for a target. The Sonic Wave doesn't connect. Power of Evil gets the kill. Vardags is excited. The Zap is going to slow down Whirlib. Another rocket's all that's needed, but he's not going to get the chance. Remember, Teleport was used from Whirlib, so it's going to be a run back to the Dragon Pit. Pepinero, living artillery. He needs to get in range. Stand United from Chachi. This is the Dragon, and it's not going to get stolen. Aspect of the Dragon versus Super Minions. Game on.
And now, Baron is the next one in Unicorns. They have 5 Dragons. Can they rush into the Baron as well and pick that one up? Giants already pinged it. Super Minions going to clear out. 1 tower died, but it's a fine enough trade for Unicorns with the 5 Dragons. Don't allow Giants to take a Baron now. Secure that one as well, and then you have about 2 minutes for a final push into the base of Giants, where you are so buffed up that there should be little Giants can do. Wave already in the bot lane, no TP for Whirlib, so either he stays around the Baron trying to fight for it against the 5 Dragon buffed Unicorns, or he goes back and clears the wave. He's staying.
Gonna have no choice but to stay. Whirlib does have a flank, but Vardags is shredding him down.
Power of Evil
was tanking the Baron. That's not your objective. And he's going to be forced away. True Shot Barrage kills him! The power of Audrey takes out the carry of UOL. Now all of a sudden, the gigantic Spanish fans at Almada are set on another Baron. 4 versus 5 minions attacking Giants' base. Dragon's Descent available from Whirlib. They're going in. Cyclone comes up. Here comes Whirlib for support. Hylissang is trying to defend with those soul shackles, but I don't think it's enough. Double kill for Pepinero as the living artillery shoots Unicorn's hopes down. Whirlib and Frederick started. Whirlib and Frederick want to end it. Aspect of the Dragon means nothing against the half-dragon Shyvana. And Giants take the gold lead. They have control of Baron.
One more kill.
They have the ace, and they may have the game. Godfred and Pepinero set up on the Nexus turrets with the aid of the Super Minions. Giants hit their power spike, and they crush the Unicorns in 42 minutes to have sole control of 4th place.
And that moment around the Baron, 5 Dragons for Unicorns. They started because they know they have to pick it up and use it to win the game. The problem is you're doing it against so much poke, and you're standing there around the Baron. It's very easy for all the pokes on it. Power of Evil got chunked. He was down like 20%. Audrey snipes him. Giants used that to then win the game. It looked difficult for them in the start. Whirlib was the only guy winning his lane. They lost everything around the bot side. Lost so many Dragons in a row. But they managed to buy enough time to get to late game anyway. And then we just saw such a different team, obviously. It's what happens when you have Pepinero, Audrey on these champions here that can scale a bit into late game as massive poke champions.
Congratulations to Giants. For Unicorns, it was looking good early, but it wasn't enough. That double threat of Power of Evil's Syndra, and Vardag's Jinx, it simply wasn't enough.
We kept talking about how important it was for Unicorns to have that vision control because they didn't have any hard engage. It was all skill shots that had to connect onto Giants to get a kill. They got all the dragons, but then the problem started when they had to work around the Baron here. It started taking a lot of time for them. Giants ended up getting the Baron as well. Does give up a few kills, but that's where we really started to see the power of what Whirlip could do on the Shyvana and on what Pepinero could do as well. And that's where it just completely stopped for Unicorns. Once you start falling behind and you don't have that map control against a poke comp with so little engage, it's just almost impossible for you to start a fight, a proper fight at least.
It really, really is. I want to call up that final Baron fight and actually try to keep a close eye on Power of Evil and how he got chunked down. I wasn't sure if it was poke from Pepinero or whether it was Baron that was landing it, but
he's already dead here.
He's already dead in this fight, but this is just a follow-up as they run across.
Yeah, this is their Shyvana Wukong. They wanted to jump into the back line together and then just a poke sitting back from the rest of Giants, but they win the fight, don't care about these minions, don't need the Baron either. This is what you have to do to push down. And you can just see how Unicorn said, we got that 5th dragon here. It was such a hard fight, you know, back and forth. We need to get that Baron as well and use it to win. But you're standing against 5 members of Giants. Whirlip stayed, didn't want to go back to clear the wave. And then probably would take all the damage. Simply meant Giants could then start cleaning up.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Frederick's Wukong, not particularly impressed. 0-5-8. I think it was a good distraction.
Sure.
I'll give credit there, and there was the threat from the Cyclone. However, it was Whirlip on Shyvana. It was Whirlip on a slightly less popular meta pick that had a big performance. He constantly kept Chachi down and had a fantastic performance.
It's the Shyvana pick into Shen.
So, solid 4th place for Giants, and for some more insight into how they came back from behind, we're going to throw it over to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, guys. Yeah, it got very intense there at the end, as we saw in the replay, and Giants closing it out. Let's take it back to the beginning, though, and the picks, because we talked a lot about macro level and shot calling for both of these teams, and then you get the Kog'Maw on the side of Giants. UOL know very well when Kog'Maw hits his power spikes and what they have to be careful for, so it became a very interesting spiel.
Yeah, and just also this is just a stylistic different match. Both teams running a completely opposite composition, and Unicorns, you say, yes, they're familiar with Kog'Maw, but they don't play double poke when they play Kog'Maw. They play 4-man protected Kog'Maw comp, and this is different. The Giants, they ran what they call a double tier composition, double scaling components, and this gives them such a weak early game, and this translated in the first blood immediately for Unicorns of Love, and we can immediately get that clip on your screen right now. I just want to talk about how the Unicorns use their advantage, and they know they can push in mid, they know they can push in bot lane, and then eventually they get the binds, traps, and Power of Evil comes in. And this is what they had to do to get ahead early. Punish the passiveness from the Giants, but it wasn't enough.
It wasn't enough, but honestly, this is a composition out of the Unicorns that I haven't seen in quite a while. This is a very old Unicorns challenger style that I casted like every week in 2013 from the Unicorns. They pick this mid-game focus, pick-centric, and it used to work very well for them, but they were facing teams that maybe didn't quite have such a solid composition that plays later into the game like the Giants had.
Now, the problem for the Unicorns was that, yes, even if they take down a tower in the mid lane, they can't take down additional towers over there because Kog'Maw has too much wave clear. So what you do in the playbook, you resort to the side lanes and you try and get that tier 1 and tier 2 tower on the bot lane, and then on the top lane, but they couldn't do that, mostly due to the split push component that Whirlip was bringing to the table. That Shyvana, I feel, was fundamental for the Giants to win the game, and we see later on that pressure with the teleport led to them getting the Baron finally, and that's our second clip. And I just want to highlight, he's keeping the Unicorns on a timer because he's pressuring the bot lane. Eventually, he TP'd into the pit, and the Giants found one opening to rush that Baron, and this is a very decisive call, and I like that the most. But what I don't like is this right here. Frederick goes in this composition, Wukong is counter-engage. You want to siege up poke, have the disengage from Janna, and then once the Unicorns commit, you want to counter-engage with the Wukong. And right here, this is what they learn. They learn their lesson. They say, okay, we can't send Frederick in constantly. We just need to use him as counter-engage or as a flank combined with Whirlip on, if they can catch somebody off guard. The Giants learned their lesson, played their strength to their composition to their strengths, and eventually got ahead enough to win the game.
Yeah, and that's what I think is the biggest lesson for the Giants coming in here, as we were talking a lot about their macro level play, recognizing that their power spike maybe at level 11 for Kog'Maw wasn't there yet, using what was positive for them in the game and waiting it out. On the other side, though, the Unicorns of Love, they read it quite well up to that point, but then some crucial errors, even with the 5th Dragon.
Yeah, the 5th Dragon and the Baron is what they needed. They needed to get that Baron buff, because then Kog'Maw's wave clear falls flat, then you can deal with Whirl up in the side lane. That's how you get those towers. And they eventually tried to get the 5th Dragon. They got it, but it wasn't enough again.
The team fights at that point are just far too difficult. It was all on Vadax to stay alive, and with the Shyvana on you, with the Wukong on you, and then a Kog'Maw just laying down siege from so far away, there's almost no way to kite in that fight, and Vadax had almost no way to stay alive. So very tricky by both teams with the compositions they played as they got later into the game.
They just got outscaled by Giants, and I just want to stress again, I feel once those tier 1 towers went down, Unicorns should have pushed in and find a way somehow to get a Baron, but it's so hard against Blue Orb, Ezreal ulti, Kog'Maw poke, that you almost have to just straight up commit to the Baron and try and 50-50 it and get it that way, because if you wait, time is on the Giant side, especially with that double tier scaling composition.
Yeah, and time ticked into the Giants' favor, and they closed it out. Very good on them. We need to step away, but when we return, Xpeke and Origen will face off against Diamond Prox and Gambit Gaming. We'll be back with our continuing coverage right after this.
Battle for sole control of 4th place. That's a Cyclone, gets onto Hylissang and Vadax, forcing them away from the fight. Monsoon will keep Frederick alive for a few seconds longer while they're going to go for the fight. Parabeagle's going to get caught out and he is down. One of the damage sticks from Unicorns is out and Vadax is falling low.
Ding, 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 ding!
Nice! Giants hit their power spike and they crush the Unicorns.